This will be my official product review and tour, if you will, of the Canon EOS 50D. I bought it approximately 3 weeks ago from B&H Photo and Video Company in New York. I bought it for $1,200, which is $200 lower than suggested retail from Canon. It actually is down to $1,100 now for just the body on B&H. It's a great buy, and I highly recommend it, especially if you are an advanced amateur who's a little bored with the Rebel series camera, even the XSI. I've been shooting with the Rebel XTI for approximately 2.5 years now, and I finally felt it was time for an upgrade. I really did like the XTI. Did take some nice pictures, and it taught me a lot about photography. But I finally decided it was time to upgrade, and the 50D does not disappoint, I guarantee you. It's 15 megapixel CMOS sensor, which has a low noise rating now based on Canon's initial testing. It is no gimmick, apart from what many forums may say. I was shooting at a varsity basketball game, my school's varsity basketball game, a couple of nights ago at a ISO of 2000 and 2500. And it was producing phenomenal photographs. I was shooting with my 70-200 L series lens, 2.8 f-stop, and with a 2500 ISO or 2000 ISO, the amount of noise that was visible in the picture was less than that seen on a 1600 ISO on a Rebel series. Of course, I'm comparing it to the XTI. I do not know what the XSI looks like, but definitely the sensor itself is no gimmick, and the resolution is just phenomenal at 15 megapixels. The body is almost that identical of the 40D. Only been some minor cosmetic changes. You can see by the dial has changed from black to silver. Initially, I thought it kind of looked cheesy. I liked the black, and I thought the silver would allow me to scratch off the markings a little easier. However, you can feel the finish on it. There's no indent or anything. You can't. So I mean, unless by repeatedly rubbing it, you're not going to wear anything up. The dial, metal top, hardened plastic. Hardened plastic casing around it, so it's durable, as is the rest of the body. The body is a magnesium alloy, and it's quite nice. It feels rugged in your hand. The Rebel series has more of a plastic-y feel to it. You feel like if you drop it, it'll break into a million pieces. I'm not recommend dropping this camera and seeing what will happen. However, the construction is definitely much better. You can see here they've really improved in terms of sealing. The 40D had some nice weather sealing on it, but even now the weather sealing has improved. And the only thing is actually this battery door is plastic. I was expecting metal, because my XTI actually had a metal battery door. That was the only surprise that this camera gave me. You still have your dial, 12-point joystick. They've added a live view mode button, display of information, and for those of you who are concerned about using this source for information and not being able to get used to these buttons, there is hope for you yet, in case you did not know this. I'm sure many people do already, but you have a menu option, much like you do on the Rebel series, for selecting what you wish to do. I'm trying to separate myself from this function because it reduces your battery life dramatically. Using this mode, obviously you don't have your sensor up here, which tells the camera your face is against the camera for when you're looking through the viewfinder, so the screen will not turn off. It'll stay on even when you're looking through the viewfinder, so that will reduce your battery life substantially. In fact, I've been finding I'm only getting about 2 hours when I use it this way, so I'm really trying to get used to using my information up here rather than selecting it on the screen, which means I have to get used to using button combinations. You also have you have the dial, you have your second click dial, and you got to get used to using those in combination with each other. It takes a little getting used to. I'm still getting used to it, as I stated earlier. So we'll just look around the rest of the camera too. With the Digi4 processor, the menu is it's very smooth. The transitions are very nice. You have a lot of different options on the camera. You can obviously choose your operations, autofocus, drive, your image, your exposure, everything you really want to adjust on this camera is possible. I've expanded the ISO up to 12,500, I believe is how high it goes. 12,500, yeah, don't use it. You can see the noise on the screen. The screen, still 3-inch as seen on the 40D, however, the resolution and brightness of the screen, the vibrancy alone is just magnificent. I find that many of my pictures I took with the XTI looked good on the camera. However, I uploaded them, found they were blurred, under-sharpened, you name it. With this camera, it doesn't lie to you, which is an advantage, and I like it a lot. The only problem I have is I use a Mac, and I use Aperture for processing my photos. I use Photoshop only for artistic purposes, but I use Aperture for like raw processing, for example. And the problem I have is that my Mac won't read the raw files from this camera right now. I talked to Apple and they have yet to release an update to make this compatible, so I'm a little mad about that right now. So just be forewarned if you're using Aperture. I hope that doesn't discourage you from buying this camera, however, because it really is a magnificent piece of hardware, and I really recommend it, strongly recommend it, I should say. The live view mode is a little bit improved. You have your AF button on here, which is used for two reasons. It's mainly used for when you're on live view. I recommend manually focusing, however, on live view, because this button takes forever and a day. However, it can also be used when shooting through the viewfinder, although lightly pressing the button to the first notch is the recommended function. Just another button. I do like the placement of most of the buttons. They're easy for navigation on the camera itself. So here's the front, and this light is orange. It's not white as seen on the Rebel series. I found that a little curious when I saw it, but it's orange like you see on many of your small point and shoots as well. There's the flash, which I refuse to use. We'll look at your modes real quick. They had to take one of the customized modes off to make room for the creative auto mode, which is cheating. Obviously you can select your blur background, the exposure rate as well, how bright you want it. Blur background basically just opens up your aperture. If you don't know that, you shouldn't be using this camera. I prefer to use AV mode, which I select the aperture. However, the camera will compute the shutter speed. That's great for sport shooting. Manual is great for portraits. I'm still getting used to focusing modes. This camera is a little picky. It's quick to focus, but it's not always sure what to focus on, and that's my major problem with it. It did already receive a firmware update, however, it is running 1.03. So that was just to correct some image data processing. So you still have your dust delete data as seen. You have your sensor cleaner on here as well. And we're still using compact flash. I'm a fan of compact flash. I use SanDisk. Compact flash, I've never had any problem with these types of cards, especially SanDisk, highly reliable, and they give you photo recovery software as well. Now the XSI does use an SD card. I'm not sure how that's working out for people, however, on the big boy cameras we're still using compact flash. So this is the Canon EOS 50D. I hope this helps you out. If you have any more questions, just post, and I'll try to answer them with videos, or I will type you back. So thank you for tuning in.